hi to someone next to you, give them a welcome, just greet them in the Lord, and Olivia's going to come and bring the word to us.
Amazing. Welcome, everyone. Happy Easter. I hope you're having a good day so far. Who has had chocolate so far? Chocolate? Yeah. Nice. Anyone on a sugar high? Crash? Yeah, okay, thought so. Nice. Well, I just want to extend a welcome again. My name is Olivia. I am part of the team here at Christ Central, and we're so glad that you're here. There are so many new faces here today, and I just want to say you're so welcome, and we're so happy that you've joined us. Now, I just love Easter. Easter is my favorite day of the year. Who has already either done an Easter egg hunt or has organized an Easter egg hunt this morning? Yeah? Nice. Okay, cool. I'm very jealous. I've actually been banned from doing Easter egg hunts. You're probably thinking, how does one get banned from doing an Easter egg hunt? You see, a little bit about myself. I have 3 sisters. I'm one of 4 girls. And something that I feel like only a handful of people know. Oh, yeah, that's me. The one on the right. That's before my youngest sister was born. So basically, I have 3 sisters, and something that I feel like only a handful of people in this room know about me, and I think only one person's ever seen before. I am horrifically competitive. So competitive. It's the worst quality about me, by far. And there was only about specific things. Like, it's not like job-related or like anything like that, or anything that normal sisters would compare each other to. It is 3 things. Firstly, Scrabble, the game Scrabble. Makes us sound very civilized. We're not. I don't know why we got so competitive as kids, but we loved Scrabble. Secondly, this is very, very specific. The original Nintendo Wii Mario Kart. That caused so many arguments in our house, so much so that I now don't play it with other people because I can't deal with the fact that I could potentially lose. I don't think I'm going to lose, but I won't play it with other people for that reason. But the worst one, by far, is Easter egg hunts. Now, I'm pretty sure this was the penultimate Easter egg hunt I ever did. After that year, I found all of them, by the way, just to let you know, because I'm just very quick. After that year, my mum was like, okay, this is not going to work. Because basically, the problem is my sisters would go for the eggs, I would go for world domination, and it would just end in so many tears, so many scrapes and breaks and all sorts of things. But there was this one year that my mum decided, I don't know why, she decided to let us do an Easter egg hunt again, and it was going well. We were doing well. I was not doing too badly in the competitive terms, but I was running for this egg, and I was running, and I was running, and I was running. And then as I was running, I suddenly realized I couldn't, like, everything was muffled that I was hearing, and I was like, oh, this is a bit weird. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, hold up, I don't think I can see anything. And I felt this, like, I felt being shaked, and after a while, I kind of was like, what's going on? And I opened my eyes, and I could see my husband, Lawrence, who wasn't my husband at the time. And I had basically, like, tripped, cut my leg open, fallen back, and whether I knocked myself unconscious or not, I don't think it really matters at this point. That was the moment that my mum was then like, absolutely not. And the worst part about that was actually last year. So this is my first Easter without an Easter egg hunt. I am feeling the lack, but that's okay. But do you know what, though? Even though I'm not allowed to do Easter egg hunts anymore, Easter is still my favorite day of the year, by far. By far, my favorite day of the year, because it is a reminder of hope. And I feel like that's something that we all need. We all need hope. I don't know about you, but I look out into the world sometimes and I'm like, gosh, we really need a hope. There is so much hurt and suffering in this world. Now, I wonder if anyone in this room could tell me what all of these films that are about to pop up have in common. Does anyone know? I'll give you a second. Chris, what did you just say? Yeah, okay, this is the top 10 grossing films of all time. So we have Avatar in first, then the original one, then Avengers Endgame, Avatar Way of the Water. Fourth, actually, just the Titanic was third and then just got knocked down into fourth. Then in fifth, we have Star Wars Episode 7, which I believe is The Force Awakens. 6 is Avengers Infinity War. 7, Spider-Man No Way Home. 8, Jurassic World. 9, this is a rogue one, Lion King, but the new Lion King. I know. I actually mentioned this to some friends recently, and I was like, oh, no, it's the original one. And they're like, no, I think it is. And when I found out that it was that version, I was not impressed. And then in 10th, we have the Avengers. Now, I think it's so interesting because all of these films, I guess kind of bar the Titanic. Unless anyone here was on the Titanic? No? I don't think you probably would be here. But okay, great. None of these live up to any sort of reality to the world that we live in. And I go even further than that. I had a look at every film in the top 30, and I would argue that almost every single film has the same premise, especially the superhero ones. You've kind of got this like light and dark, good and evil tension that happens throughout the film. And you meet the superhero who's like stands for the light and the goodness and morality, and the saturation levels go up when he comes on, and I guess all the music goes happy, and then you meet this villain. And then you've got this villain that represents the bad and the evil, and all the saturation goes down, and the music goes creepy, and this whole film battles between this good and evil until you get to about 20 minutes before the end, and something catastrophic happens. It's always 20 minutes before the end. And it looks like the villain is about to crush the world and destroy mankind. And right when you think that there is no way mankind can make it, they are about to be wiped out, destroyed, they're facing the end. Suddenly, this superhero just swoops in and saves the day, and we love it, right? As the stats literally say, we spend billions of dollars to watch these films over and over and over again. All of these films have grossed somewhere between $2 to $3 billion each. They're averaging at like 2.6 billion. And I think we love to watch these films over and over, not because we relate to them, but I think that we wish that we did. There is so much evil and hurt and suffering in this world, and so much death as well. And I think we cling to the question so often of, is this really it? Is this world it? Do we just die and that's it? And we look around and we see so many things that we could blame. But actually, I think right at the center of it is ourselves, is our human heart. We cause suffering, we cause hurt, and we cause so much evil in this world. And I think we've got to the point where, I don't know about you, but I don't think humanity can save itself. We're past the point of saving ourselves. I don't think we ever could have, but I also don't think we can now. And there is so much wrong in the world and so much that we've caused, but I think we also have this desire for goodness. We crave this light and this happy ending. I think that's why we love those films so much. But I want to offer you this morning a different story of hope. And it's one that's not in the top 10 grossing films of all time. And it's the one where I find my real hope. And it holds the promise that hurt and evil and suffering and death is not the end. Now, I'm sure some of you in this room will have heard at least little bits of the Easter story, but I'm just going to do a little bit of a summary of kind of what happens beforehand before we look at an eyewitness account of Jesus' life. So that was a bit of a spoiler. There's a guy called Jesus, and he is born into this world, and he grows up, and he's around the age of 30, he starts teaching, and he starts making these claims. And to be completely honest, they're very outrageous claims. He's going around talking about how there's so much evil and suffering in this world, and he has come to save mankind. He claims so many things, but I think one of the most outrageous claims that he makes is that he is the Son of God. And as he's going around, he starts doing these miracles, and he's teaching these things, and he starts to gain a following. And all these people are following him around, and this momentum is building and building and building. And as I said, he keeps saying the same things of, there are so many things wrong in this world, and he has come to save mankind. But here's the thing, some of the Jewish leaders did not like this, and they saw him as a threat. And they kept kind of having conversations, more arguments on their side, with him trying to catch him out, trying to prove that he isn't who he says he is, but they couldn't. And after a while, they realized that the only way that they could get rid of this threat to their religion would be to kill him, to get him killed. And so there's a bit of a whole process that I won't go into, but we basically get to this stage where they hand him over to the Romans who occupied the land at the time. And he gets put on trial. And even though the person who's kind of sorting out the trial doesn't think that he should be killed, he ends up getting the sentence of death. He's given the worst form of punishment, which is crucifixion at the time. If you don't know what crucifixion is, it would be where someone would be nailed to a cross like this, and they would have 6-inch nails going through their hands and their feet nailed into a cross. They would have already been kind of tortured and whipped, and they would carry their cross and all sorts of things. But this is what was going to happen to Jesus. So he gets nailed up on this cross. And this is where I'm going to zoom in, okay? So he's up there on this cross. And we're really at that pinnacle moment. He's spent his whole time this last 3 years of his time on earth saying that he is the hope. He is coming to save mankind. And he has so many people following him and believing him. And we're just in that moment where it looks like it's all going to go wrong. And there are loads of people who are there saying, well, if you're really the Son of God, come down off that cross. You can get yourself off that cross. Come on, come down up the cross. And all his followers and his friends are there. It's a really high, tense moment. And then this incredible thing happens, okay? He takes this final breath. He says, it is finished. And he dies. He dies. I know you're probably sat there thinking, surely not. Are you serious? Yes. He dies. The Roman soldiers come along and they see that he's died, but just for extra precaution, they stab him in the side, and blood and water flow out separately, proving that he's died. He's taken down off the cross, and here starts his burial process. And there were some problems with the fact that the next day was the Sabbath day, which was the Jewish day of rest, and so they had to kind of speed the process along, but then also they didn't quite do the burial that was wanted by some of their friends and followers. So this is where we're going to pick up from an eyewitness account of Jesus' life that can be found in the Bible. It's the book of Luke. But yeah, this is one of the eyewitness accounts. I believe it's going to pop up behind me as well. So we're just going to follow it through a little bit. On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came to the tomb, bringing the spices they had prepared. Now, just for some context, the they in this is a group of women who were his friends and followers. They were the ones who were there, who saw Jesus die, who saw where he was buried and were there. And the reason that they're bringing spices, I once had someone ask me if it was because they were having fajitas, genuinely, seriously, not having fajitas in the slightest. This was a Jewish custom for anointing the body, a dead body. Obviously, dead bodies don't smell very good. It's a whole thing, and they would anoint the body. So they've come expecting to find their friend, the person they were following. They're in this utter state of grief, and they're coming to the tomb where he was laid, where they saw him put, bringing spices they had prepared. Carry on. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb. They went in, but did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were perplexed about this, suddenly 2 men stood by them in dazzling clothes. So the women were terrified and bowed down to the ground. Now, I don't know about you, but that would not be the plan if I was going to see a family member who had just died. I think anyone in this room would turn up and they would be in grief. And especially these women who thought that this man was their savior, who was coming to save mankind. They're not only grieving their friend, but they're also grieving this whole thought process that they thought that this person had come to save. So they turn up, the stone's rolled away, they go in, but there's no body, and they're clearly confused. It says they were perplexed. And I want to note here, you've probably already heard it in our service about what happens next, about the fact that Jesus rises again. But I don't think that was their assumption. I don't know who would turn up to someone's grave and expect for them to have risen again if they're not there. You'd expect that the body had been stolen or something had gone wrong, or maybe you're in the wrong place. But that's why they were so confused and they were terrified. This wasn't their plan. And then there are these angels who were there, and the women are bowing down to the ground, and then it continues. "Why are you looking for the living among the dead?" asked the men. "He is not here, but he has risen. Remember how he spoke to you when he was still in Galilee, saying, 'It is necessary that the Son of Man be betrayed into the hands of sinful men, be crucified, and rise on the third day.' And they remembered his words." So we're faced with this question of, why are you looking for the living among the dead? Which is a fair question if you were looking for someone who was alive, but they weren't. They were looking for someone who was dead. "He is not here, but he has risen." I want you to note something here. They're not saying, "Guys, he managed to survive. Like he mustered up the strength and he managed to survive and he crawled." No. He died and then he rose. It's not saying he survived, it's saying that he's risen. And not just that, though. They're saying, remember how he told you? Remember how he spoke to you when he was still in Galilee, which is the place that he was spreading this good news, saying it's necessary for the Son of Man to be betrayed into the hands of sinful men, crucified, and rise on the third day. You see, whilst this might not have been the women's plan for how their Sunday morning was going to be, that was Jesus' plan. It was Jesus' plan all along. This death on the cross was the plan. And you might be thinking, Olivia, why on earth would that be the plan? But see, the thing is this wasn't just another one of those miracles that Jesus was doing. This wasn't one of those situations where he would turn water into wine, which had great effects. No. This was a situation where Jesus wasn't just going to die and then rise again. Jesus went onto the cross and took all the sin, all the shame, all the suffering, all the wrongdoing, all the evil, all death, took it to the cross with him, died with it. That died, but Jesus rose again, leaving that down there. That's gone. And I think the really important thing to note here is that the reason why the resurrection, kind of what you might hear people call this as, the resurrection is so important, is because it wasn't just a random miracle that happened. It holds so much more weight than that. Because it means that if the claims were true, he was the Son of God, he had come to do everything that he said he would, and that he had done it, that he had come and conquered evil, that he defeated death, and that death has no victory anymore. And here's the thing as well, is he didn't just do this for the people then, he did it for you as well. And it's not too late for you to have already missed out on this. He died for all the wrongdoing that had been, was being done, and was to come. And we are in the was to come. This is for us as well. Because if this hope really is what it says it is, it means that light has defeated the darkness, that there's meaning in our suffering, that there's purpose in our pain. It means that there's a reason why you're here, and I don't just mean in this room, but on this earth. And there's certainty in our uncertainty, and that death is not the end. This is the real hope of mankind. It wasn't just an event in history, but it was one that changed history. What we see around us today isn't it. Is there more to life than this? Absolutely, and it's because Jesus died over 2,000 years ago and rose again. Now you might be sat here thinking, Olivia, this literally sounds like nonsense. And funnily enough, there were some other people who thought the same thing. So we're going to keep reading, okay? Returning from the tomb, they reported all these things to the 11 and to the rest. Just heads up, the 11 are his disciples and friends, which is another word. Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary, the mother of James, and the other women with them were telling the apostles these things. But these words sound like nonsense to them, and they did not believe the women. Of course it seemed like nonsense. They literally saw their friend, the person they were following, die on a cross. They saw him die. They saw him be taken down. They know that he has been buried, and they are grieving. They are hiding. They don't know what trouble that they're in, that they could have been contributing to this thing that they thought could have been a lie, but we don't even know how they felt. It makes complete sense that they thought it was nonsense. And so I just want to say, if you feel the same, that's okay. This isn't just an everyday occurrence. This isn't something that happens every day. But really interestingly, I want to read a last section from this eyewitness account, okay? Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. When he stooped to look in, he saw only the linen cloths. So he went away, amazed at what had happened. You see, Peter, one of Jesus' friends, he didn't just take someone else's word for it. He got up and went to see for himself. He didn't just sit back and claim it as nonsense. He went to see the evidence. And this passage is packed with evidence that I annoyingly don't have time to go through right now, but I would love to chat to you afterwards about it if you want to know. So I'd love to ask you a question right now. Obviously, you don't need to answer out loud, but are you going to sit back and claim it as nonsense? Or are you going to get up like Peter and go and see for yourself? Are you going to do something about this? And also, if you know this to be true already, are you going to sit back and keep it to yourself? Or are you going to go out there and be like the women and tell everyone about it? You see, in the 6 weeks after Jesus' resurrection, he was seen by over 500 people. One by one, they interacted with Jesus, realized he truly was who he said he was, and the early church grew rapidly into what it is today. And 2,000 years later, we still have countless original historical documentation that points us to the evidence of both the existence, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And today, the 9th of April 2023, this isn't a story that's grossed $2.6 billion. This is a story that's grossed 2.6 billion changed lives. Lives of people who live without fear of death, but with real hope that there is more to life than this world, that death is not the end, and that Jesus is our true answer and hope. And that is why Easter is my favorite day of the year. Now, if you fall into that category of wondering if you're going to sit back and claim this as nonsense, or if you're going to get up and go and see for yourself, I have an invitation for you. There's a QR code on the back of everyone's seat, or if you're, I guess, the seat in front of you that you're looking at, and there's also a flyer on every seat as well. In a couple of weeks, we are going to be doing something called Hope Explored. And this is an opportunity in an evening for you to get up and go and see for yourself. We are going to be having an evening where we're going to get a takeaway each week, a different takeaway every time. We're going to have some time to socialize, play some games to get to know each other, but also explore these claims of what this says, of what Jesus claims, and of the evidence of the death and the resurrection of Jesus. And we would absolutely love for you to come and join us. There's a link on the back, or all the QR codes, but also on the flyers, that you can sign up. The only reason we would ask you to sign up is so we know how much food to get. But bar that, we would absolutely love for you to come along. And secondly, there's a little corner over there that we call the prayer corner, which basically means it's an opportunity for you to come and talk to some people if something has kind of stirred in you, if you have questions maybe. We would love for you to come either in the next song or after the service over there, because we would love to chat with you. We'd love to answer any questions that you have. I'll go over there. I'll be over there, so come and say hi to me. I'm really not that scary. I would love to chat to you. But for now, I'm going to invite the band back up. And I'd love to just leave you with that question. Are you going to sit back and claim it as nonsense? Or are you going to be like Peter and get up and go and see for yourself? Thank you.